Let me put a couple of things in perspective as well as what Dave said. In June of 2006, Carl Pope, who hopefully will be here soon, he's fighting off food poisoning. Anybody who thinks we don't need EPA better realize that one. Carl Pope, Dave Foster, and I held a press conference at the National Press Club to announce the kickoff of the Blue-Green Alliance. There was Carl and I and Dave, and I think 6 reporters. And I don't think we got a story anywhere. Today, through its affiliate organizations, the Blue-Green Alliance has 14.5 million affiliated members. That's progress, and that shows that there's a need for us to come together. One of the things that was being said then by the opponents was you couldn't have both a clean environment and good jobs. You had to make a choice. One of the driving forces behind creating the Blue-Green Alliance was to be able to say it's not whether or not you're going to have good jobs and a clean environment, as we've been saying now for quite some time. You're either going to have both or you'll have neither, and our kids deserve us to have both, and we're going to have both. David has alluded to some of the things that didn't get done that should have got done in the last Congress. And we know that right now there are those that are going to be fighting harder against us moving forward on good jobs and a clean environment. There's going to be those that go back to the old saying that you can't have both, you got to have one or the other. Again, let me tell you, you can have both, and you need to have both, and we must have both. Some examples. 60% of the schools in America are more than 50 years old. Think about how much better that environment would be for our kids if over the next period of time we were retrofitting those schools to current scientific standard. Think of how much carbon that would take out of the air. Think of how much better our kids would be in a learning environment that was more conducive to learning. Think about your own town, your own community, your own city, your own state. And think about how old those public buildings are and how energy inefficient they are. And all the good jobs we could create by retrofitting those. Think about how much time you spend stuck in a traffic jam because our mass transit system is inefficient. Think of how much easier it would be to hop on a train to go 200 miles if the train could go 200 miles an hour. All of those things aren't only possible, they're necessary. Think about rehabbing brownfield sites. Just last week, I was in Fairfield, Maryland, with a company that is going to process 26 million tons of waste per year with virtually no emissions, recovering everything. Hell, they even find $1,000 worth of coins every day. I said to the guy, you got a much better couch than I have. Can't find that in my couch. But 26 million tons of waste will create 2,790 megawatts of electricity. It'll rehab a 90-acre brownfield site, and it will convert 115 acres, 15 feet deep, of unnecessary landfill so that we could use that land for more productive reasons. These are all job-creating opportunities that improve the climate, take greenhouse gases out of the atmosphere, and create jobs. The other thing we need to do, and we need to not be shy about it, We've got to create a domestic supply chain and a domestic industry. As Dave said, for the auto industry, for wind, for solar, for retrofitting industrial work sites. Think of the multitude of bottom lines if we could build an industrial retrofitting program for this country. Dave talked about ArcelorMittal and BP and others, of how much better and how much safer they could be. The one thing that seems to be missing, and I think those of us in this room can make the noise to make sure that that happens. What's missing is a manufacturing plan, an industrial plan that's attached to a greenhouse emissions plan. And for those that tell us it can't be done, we have an obligation to show them the right path. We have an obligation to tell them that our kids deserve a cleaner planet and better jobs. Our kids deserve to know that our generation saw a problem and decided that saying no was not going to be enough, and that what we need to do is recognize that the future will be for those of us who are bold enough to lead, those of us who are courageous enough to say that it doesn't have to be this way, and the future will belong to those that implement it. I can tell you that we filed a 301 petition against China, and some people have misunderstood that. The reason we did that is because we want to build a supply chain. We want those jobs to be here. We believe that our members and American workers can compete with anybody in the world, given a fair and level playing field. But we can't compete. We can't compete when they decide to break every rule they agreed to. And let me be very clear on behalf of the Steelworkers, not necessarily the Blue-Green Alliance. I could care less. I could care less if the Chinese want to use their dollars to build every windmill they can in China. What I care about is when they don't play by the rules and they try to undermine our renewable energy industries here in this country. There's 400 tons of steel in a wind turbine. We can make those here. There's aluminum and glass in solar panels. We can make those here. And we need to fight for those jobs, and we need to fight for the clean environment that we know we can have. So let me say, this. I just said to Francis that I've been missing the boat until I went to this facility last week, and I got so excited. My wife thought I had drank too much coffee again. I've been talking, as many of you have, about sustainable development. The facility I went to is beyond sustainable development. It's talking about restorative development, so that we can think not only of sustainable development, but restorable development. Restoring our schools for our kids to the best that they can be. Restoring brownfield sites so that they turn into green job centers. Restoring the kind of economy where our kids can be proud of going to school and coming out as engineers as opposed to financial engineers, so that we can make things in America again and create wealth. How many people realize, you're cutting into my time, hang on here. How many people realize that the modern wind turbine was invented in Sandusky, Ohio? A wind turbine is not a windmill. It has 8,000 moving parts. It's sophisticated. The more efficient you could make that so that the blade needed less wind to turn, the more energy it would create. Why should we let that R&D be done in some foreign place when we invented that here? So it's time that we reclaim the future, and we can reclaim the future by leading the way on carbon reduction and greenhouse gas emissions and doing the kinds of things that take carbon out of the air while at the same time creating good jobs, driving R&D so that at some point in the future, when many of us are sitting in our rocking chairs, we will know that we gave our children every opportunity that we could give them, and we gave them a cleaner planet, and we pointed them in the right direction to a renewable future, a restorative future, a sustainable future. Thank you very much, and welcome to the Good Jobs, Green Jobs Conference.